This is crazy.
Man. Oh. All right.
Okay, so it's been a really tough year. It's actually kind of been a bad year. Now, I'm not a negative gloom and doom type of person, but it's just been the hardest year of my life for sure, with things going on in the world, personal hardships, family emergencies, and tragedy. It's just been hard. And then to add to all that, this has been a really tough year on the homestead too. Not necessarily from the animal side of homesteading, but from the gardening aspect it has. And it started with flooding. We had so much rain in the early part of the growing season, it was ridiculous. And for weeks now, actually a couple months now that I think about it, we've had no significant rainfall. And there's numerous places in our state that are in drought. And considering microclimates, we may be in even worse drought than what is listed, because it's been really dry here. So what does that mean for homesteaders and farmers like me? Well, that means that if you're trying to grow and produce things, not having enough rainfall, not having enough water, makes things even more challenging, puts more work and stress on our plate. So during this drought, we've been having to irrigate our plants more with water from our well. However, with also using our well water for our household things like taking a shower and other things like that, on top of using it for providing our livestock with drinking water, which has also been tough because it's been dry and it's been hot and they've been drinking more, and we have a few more animals than we've had in the past. That's been taxing our well more. So having to water our plants more with water from our well is also tapping and draining, literally, our well. We have to be really careful of that, because if the water in the well gets too low and the pump's trying to pump the water out, well, we could also burn out the motor in our pump, and we don't want to do that. So as you can probably see, managing water has been a challenge for us lately. Now, I have used drip tape, which we use that mainly for established plants, and we'll do that in my high tunnel and other areas. And we've also used these Oya pots, which work really well. I'm using them right now in our greenhouse to water our tomato plants, but we only have so many of those. But overhead watering is just something else that I have to do, primarily for starting seeds for new crops, but also making sure, especially during the drought, that things get thoroughly watered well in their root system so we don't lose them. But I know there's some of you that are also thinking you need to do some wood chips, you need to do mulch, you need to do all these other things to help conserve water around the plants, and those are things that we have done as well, but it's just been so dry. I mean, so dry, we still have to water. And my family also makes fun of me for this, but each day I've been looking at the weather, just hoping that we're going to see some rain soon. Each day, checking it. Rain? Nope. Rain? Nope. Rain coming? No, not again. No rain. It's like 100% chance of no rain. So not too long ago, I got to thinking, we need to utilize the water from the pond just to help our well out and give it some backup. So I got this pump and started to test it out. Bang, got it on there. However, with these pumps, they don't come with a way to connect them to the standard garden hose. So I'm like, it's great and all that I got this pump, but it doesn't do me any good if I can't get the water from the pond through the main hose. It stops there because it needs to get to the garden to water those things. So I went to I don't know how many different stores to try to find the connecting pieces for my pump. And thankfully, Tractor Supply did have what I needed. However, I had to end up going to like 2 different tractor supply stores to piece these pieces together. But they still didn't have the main combination nipple that I needed to finish this connection project. So I went to another hardware store. Ace Hardware actually had the 2-inch combination nipple that I needed. Please enter here. Let's see if this is it. There we go. Oh, Lord. That's me. So once I got all the pieces, I brought it home. And one of the things that I've learned from having to connect hoses over the years, that whenever you have to do that, connecting hoses that have been split or whatever, it's best to do it when those hoses are warm. However, it's starting to get cooler around here right now, and I wanted to speed this up, so I put it in the oven to warm it up with hopes that it would be easier to pull it over our combination nipple. And while it was in the oven, I put the reducing pieces together securely and tightly using plumbing tape, like you're supposed to.
So here's a pencil for you.
Thanks. You hang on to it for a minute.
Okay. Daddy, that's on the downside. That's on the downtown. That's on the downtown.
Is it downtown?
Uh-huh.
And then it was time to take the hose out of the oven and connect it to the combination nipple. However, it still was not as easy as I wanted it to be. I ended up having to make a slit in there just to get to where I could grab onto it with some pliers and pull it on there. I got to thinking, I think that 1.5-inch one that I saw at Tractor Supply may have actually worked out after all, even though it's a 2-inch hose. I don't know. I finally got it on there. Now let's see if this actually works. Hopefully there's not too much pressure coming out of it and then it just breaks up everything that I just did. We'll see. All right, got that. This way. There we go. Straighten it out. And man, was it fun shooting this thing. Man, the water coming out of that thing, that's like a cannon. Hezekiah watches this show called Paw Patrol, and I think they have a water cannon on there. So as I'm shooting it, I'm thinking, Hezekiah, look, I got a water cannon. Man, this is crazy. It's like a firefighter or something. All right, there's water over here. Dude. Water the plants way back here. And it's like, yes, it's working, it's working. I even was shooting it across the pond just to see how far it would shoot. let's get serious. This is fun and all, but we're doing this for a reason. We need to make sure this actually works out for our plants. Even though it shoots that far, still got some ways to go to get to some other plants. So, see if our gorilla hose is strong enough to take the pressure. Won't anything exploding quite yet. See what kind of pressure we're working with from here. We don't explode my hose.
Yeah, we didn't get any water over here quite yet.
Now, there are a number of advantages to having a pond on a property. It can provide drinking water for livestock. It can be a place of additional food production, aquaculture. It also can help with microclimate regulation. But in addition to those, it can be a nutrient factory from all the fish waste and other things that are in here. But in addition to all those, it can be a source for irrigation. Because ponds store rainwater, ours is actually also spring fed, and ponds reduce dependency of city water, as well as, in our case, well water. However, we've never really used it for irrigation purposes. Now, I have used it to provide water for our ducks, and they love playing in there. And we've also gotten fish out of there for us, but I never thought of using it in the garden. We've never gotten it tested or anything. Even though it is spring fed, it's also gathering water from runoff and rainwater. So if you don't know the story with what's going on in your water and you're planning to use it in the garden, there are safety precautions that you need to make. So with concerns of pathogens, it's best to use it on non-edible plants, but you can also use it on fruiting trees and fruiting crops like squash, eggplant, and a number of other things that we're growing in our garden that need water right now. And I forgot to say, with untested pond water and watering fruiting crops, they say you want to wait 2 to 3 weeks to harvest these after watering them from untested water. And you can also use it for soil prep. And in these areas, it's best to wait at least 90 days prior to using it. And with having a number of plants that are on the brink of destruction, I'm so hoping that we're going to be able to water these plants with water from the pond. Now, between watering from the well and watering from the pond, we have done what we can to try to keep things going. Thankfully, we have had some success with arugula, with peppers, with tomatoes, with eggplant, and even watermelon, which has been a challenge for us to grow in the past.
Got a bunch of watermelon over here. Tried that one.
And we've even managed to keep our cabbage and broccoli going. But look at this right here. Look how bad this is. I've never been able to walk out this far. So this thing looks like it's like, because the water is normally somewhere like right in here. So I would guess, I don't have a level on me, but that's a good amount of reduction in water. Man. And with this, I can't help but think about the prophecies of the earth being turned to bronze because of the sins of a nation. And I've been trying to do my part to repent and change the things that I need to as far as my contributions to our problems nationally, but you see more and more just issues. Us as farmers, homesteaders, we're usually the first to feel the impact of these things, and then it kind of trickles to things like higher food prices and other things. But just got to navigate through it like Moses and the people did when the first few plagues were on Egypt. But, yeah, And then it's also tough not knowing if it's also things that you are doing personally, or it's just trials and tests that God allows us to go through, like He did with Paul and all the things that he went through. But it's definitely clear that we need to keep praying for rain. I ask that you pray for us too.